How rare is it for the upper house to cut short its 4th of July recess? Well, the last time it made the move like this was back in 1974 during the Watergate scandal. Well, joining us now, somebody who's here because of that shortened recess with his take on the debt ceiling and debate is the ranking member of the Senate Budget Committee, Republican Jeff Sessions of Alabama. Senator, thanks for making time for us today.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right, how concerned are you that we're a month out from the deadline that the Treasury says, that's it, we've exhausted our borrowing power?
I am very concerned about it. This is one of the most irresponsible Congresses in our nation's history, and the President's proposals for spending is the most irresponsible, I think, probably in our nation's history. We're heading to a deadline August 2nd. We should do something before that date. Only bad things will happen if we don't. But we've got to change the debt trajectory. We've reached the ceiling, the limit on debt that Congress authorized much sooner than we expected. We'll have had 3 years of $1.2, $1.3, $1.5 trillion deficits. Stunning, unlike anything we've ever seen before. It's got to be fixed. We have no plan. The White House is, the talks have fallen apart. We've been waiting on secret talks to somehow settle our problems, but Congress is the constitutional place for this to be decided. The President should lead and lay out a good proposal, but Congress needs to have plenty of time to consider it, and every day things are getting closer to the deadline.
And I know you have great concerns that there will be some last-minute deal jammed together, pushed down Congress's throat to get something done, with the worries about what happens if you don't. But you're going to propose a piece of legislation that would make sure the public knows what's in this bill, not yet. You got to vote for it and then find out what's in it. Tell us about your proposal.
Well, I've got a proposal to say we would wait at least 7 days. The bill would be on the floor in bill language so it can be analyzed and scored by the accountants. At least 7 days. That's not enough. I mean, we should have been working on this all year. We've gone 795 days without a budget. We haven't brought a budget to the floor of the Senate. The Democratic leadership hasn't in 2 years. This is why, one reason spending is so out of control. So I'm really worried about it. And we're not going to rubber stamp something sent down from the White House. We're going to need to look at the numbers, how much taxes are being increased from their proposals, how much spending is actually being reduced, or will it really get us on a path to prosperity? This is what we've got to do. We're on a path to debt crisis, as every witness has told us in the Budget Committee. Debt crisis within 2 years, and it's got to be dealt with. I'm really amazed that we're so far behind at this point.
And honestly, the two sides still seem very far apart. I mean, the President's talked about he wants something that includes spending cuts. He's willing to talk about that, but that Republicans are going to have to talk about raising revenue. So there's this question, this debate about, you know, if you close tax breaks and tax loopholes, is that considered raising taxes? Because there are Republicans on the Hill, including Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, and also House Leader John Boehner, who say no tax hikes. So is closing a tax loophole a tax hike? Where do you come down on that?
Well, we'll have to look at each loophole to see if they're unjustifiable. They need to be eliminated. I voted to eliminate the ethanol loophole, you can so call it. But really, fundamentally, the American people did not send us here to permanently increase the size of government. In the last 2 years, under President Obama's leadership, non-defense, discretionary spending, and all the general accounts of our government went up 24%. He proposes next year 10% increases for the Energy Department, Education Department, State Department, 60% increase in the Transportation Department, at a time we're running the biggest deficits the nation has ever run. So this is why it failed 97-0, his budget did a few weeks ago in the Senate. So we are really, a lot of our members are in denial. I think the administration is in denial, and we are really at a fundamental philosophic decision for America. Will we continue to be a government that's lean and productive and efficient and limited, or will we transition to a more European style of larger government that does more and more things and takes more and more money from the private sector? I think it's a national issue of great importance.
You mentioned some of the things that the President is pushing for increases next year in the budget, and you talk about things like transportation, infrastructure, education. The President says those are things that will create jobs, and that's what we need right now. Do you take issue with that?
Shannon, we don't have the money. We've borrowed money from the future. the numbers I'm talking about did not include the stimulus package. That was almost $900 billion, every bit borrowed. The interest on it will cost us $30 billion a year for as long as we all are alive. So no, we don't have the money to have new increases. The question is, where can we reduce spending? We've got to look at every possible expenditure, every dime, and try to make sure that it's productive, to eliminate wasteful spending. Even some things we'd like to do need to be delayed or reduced. Unfortunately, that's reality. I wish it weren't so.
Well, we know there are a lot of tough choices ahead, and you've got a lot of work to do, so we wish the best to you and your colleagues on both sides of the aisle as you try to get something done for the greater good of this country.
Thank you. We've got a lot to do.
Happy Independence Day if you can enjoy it a little bit.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Good to see you.